Hey, what's up, everybody? Pastor JonJon here, coming to you from Pacifica. And as we do every day, right around noontime, we jump on here and try to just speak some encouragement and pray for some people. And today I'm excited to have a conversation with one of my best friends. This brother is, he's like a brother for sure. And we've had some history together already. And I'm excited to have Pastor Keys join. And a lot of you tuning in from all over the Bay Area, but also from around the world. And my hope would be that today's conversation would be one that it would open our eyes, but more importantly, in our hearts to hearing the cry of people that are hurting, and to hear also the voice of the Holy Spirit through all of this. So I'm going to be having Keys join us here shortly. And if you know how we get down, we keep everything very raw, very real. And so he'll be joining us here shortly as he comes on here. And yeah, so hopefully you've been praying and you've been asking the Lord, God, even through this season that we're in, what is it that you're wanting to teach us, and what is it that you're wanting to speak to us? And so shout out to all my friends jumping on right now from all over the place. And so I'm going to have Pastor Keys jump on here as I see the men of God jumping in. Here we go.
All right. So Keys, I know that you're jumping in. So here we are. There you are. Man of God. My man, how are you, sir?
Pretty good. What's up with you, boss?
Good, good,
Can you
good.
hear me okay?
I can hear you good. You look good. Rocking that hat. What hat are you rocking today?
It's all
Come
day.
on, Niner Nation.
Born
Faithful.
and raised.
Let's go.
Born and raised. Born and raised.
Born and raised. Native. My man, well, we've talked already this week a little bit, and today the goal for our conversation today is to hear, to listen, to hear the voice of those who have lost a voice, perhaps, and to hear the voice of compassion, to hear the voice of hope. We want to hear the voice of the Holy Spirit, because we know that though we may not have the answers, God sure does. So, what a crazy week! And you and I, man, we've chopped it up like this for a long minute already. And I'll just say this: I give thanks to God for you, bro. As the Lord brought our family to San Francisco, um, it was a divine partnership, and I praise God for you. And I've told you this before, but I'll just throw it right up front. You've helped walk me through this process of learning, and you've been very patient with me, and gracious, and helping me to see from a different perspective. There's a saying that people don't know what they don't know, and at best, we call it ignorance. But thank you for your patience, bro. Just walking with me and helping me to see from a different angle, different perspective. And I honor you, man, and I appreciate you, and I love you. And we tease each other all the time, but we are brothers and we are family indeed. Our kids, I was just looking through pictures this week of our kids from when they're just tiny and growing up, and they're best friends. There's a reason. It's a divine connection. So this week was brutal for many of us, but I'm going to turn it over to you, bro, and just kind of like tell us, this journey. And again, I know that this is not your favorite conversation. You and I have talked about this, and you've said it before, like, man, PJ, if it were up to me, like this isn't anything new. This has been a lifetime. But today, I don't have bullet points. I don't have a bunch of lists, because that's not how we get down. We speak from the heart, of course. So I've been praying up. I know you have as well. And what can we share, and how? Let's engage and allow people to enter into our dialogue, how normally we would get down as we drink some coffee together. So what's cracking?
Yeah, man. I don't know where to start. The heart is heavy. Let's pray, man. Let's pray. That's what I was come from the old school church. You know what I'm saying? It's an important conversation. It's a kingdom conversation, and we need the Holy Spirit to help us navigate this. So many feelings and emotions, are a lot of rage. People are burning buildings, and there's this anger, sadness. So let's just pray. Father, we thank you. Our hearts are heavy. Your word says, mourn with those that mourn. We mourn with those that the families of the countless victims of brutality and injustice, those locked up behind bars due to unequal and racist policies and practices. And we take this moment as leaders in the kingdom, as your vessels, God, to be a voice to share our hearts, Lord. And we pray for solutions. We pray for wisdom and counsel. We declare that we need you, God. We need you so much right now, God.
Yes.
And so, Lord, we ask you to help us to share your words and your heart. I pray that it falls on good ground in Jesus' name.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I was praying this morning and I was thinking about this conversation, and I'm a worshiper at heart, and I was just praying this morning. Sometimes I just ask the Lord to help me, guide me, and sometimes I'm not sure anybody, this is crazy, but sometimes people do this. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. But sometimes I go to my playlist and I just hit, I say, Lord, just lead me to what you want me to hear. And I hit the shuffle button, and I ask the Lord to guide me. And I did that this morning. I don't do it every day per se, but I did that this morning. And the song that came on was Our Church. I actually have a playlist that has our church's worship. Shout out to Zach and Chelsea. They put on YouTube, there's all these different worship videos from our live services back when we could do services. And I love our worship team. And the song that came on was Defender. We understand, we worship, we sing songs like God is our defender. He goes before us. He wins the wars for us. And we all can be comforted in knowing that God is our defender. Victory is his. That we have a God that fights our battles. And I couldn't help in this moment, in this time, to think, what would it feel like to have not just God the defender, but to finally have my Christian brothers be my defender. It's so hard, man. It often feels like you're on an island to yourself. For those of us like, folks like Hav and Gio that's on the front line, we, I know I'm not alone in this, feel often like the only ones that care. It ain't about, let's be clear. It's not about Floyd, George. It's not about, bro. This is like the list is too long. This is the one that broke the back, or however you say that saying. But there's a long list of names. Day, Tamir Rice, Oscar Grant, I forget the dude, Philando, something like that in Minnesota. The other dude in Minnesota on live. Sandra Bland, Emmett Till. The list of names are too long. And it gets so overwhelming to sometimes feel like you're the only one. And so that ministered to me today, because I believe there's an awakening, there's breakthrough happening, and finally people want to help defend the fight that we've been on the front lines fighting. A fight for justice, a fight for not equality. We're gonna be careful with that word equality, because we far away from that, but a fight for equity.
That's good.
Not for racial reconciliation, as many talk about. That's again these cliche words. There is no reconciliation. We were just talking about this morning. There was never a point we could revert back to when it was reconciled. It was. We don't have a reference point that things were ever on an even playing field.
Mm-hmm.
We came here on ships and boats against our will. Like it was never a point where it was a just society for all. It just never. It just. Let's be real about that. Let's be clear about what we've seen this week is a product of centuries, generations, decades of injustice.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an isolated situation. The systems that have created what we, I think was Will Smith that just said it recently, that, this ain't nothing new. It's just being filmed.
Right.
And the other thing about it, we were talking about it, the other unique thing about it, if we're just, keeping it 100, this ain't the first time we've seen something like this. It's not. We've seen countless of Black and brown bodies lynched and publicly executed on social media. This ain't the first. Eric Gardner. We could keep going. Tamir Rice. We could keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the quarantine and the shelter in place, Rodney King, thank you, who just shared that. We were talking about that earlier. 15, 20 cops beating him down. This ain't the first time it's not the first time. But the unique thing about this situation is we have shelter in place. We don't have sports. We don't have the demonic distractions that continue to distract us from what's really the truth of what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we all have to sit with it now. We all have to pause. We can't watch the video of someone being lynched publicly and then turn it to ESPN no more, or to the Niners game or to the Warriors game. We don't have that anymore. So now we got to deal with it.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden everybody's up in an uproar and everyone got something to say about it now. Doubles, like, I'm being real with you, with fingers of telling my white brothers and sisters that, like, please don't come at me with, like, what do I do? Again, this is nothing new. Like, it's exhausting. And then on the other pendulum swing is like trying to have love and compassion. That's why we're doing this today, because it's not about me. I don't speak for all Black people. I don't speak for all Latino people. I don't speak for San Francisco. My thoughts are my own, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not here on behalf of all Black Christians, or, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm just speaking from my heart. It's been overwhelming, man. I'm sad, what's going on. And all of a sudden it feels convenient for my friends and my brothers in Christ to jump on the bandwagon of justice. You know what I'm saying? Because no one else, it's like there's nothing else to do. Might as well do this justice thing for a little bit if we're gonna be real about it. That's how it feels. You know what I'm saying? I know that's not the case, for you personally. I know you personally, John, you've been really trying to, think this through with me for a while. Our church will be 8 years old, in September. Number 8 is very special. And the concept of offender, the concept of how do our brothers and sisters in Christ go before our battles? Because I got that are listening, if you come into me to look for some type of answer to deal with the generations of white supremacy and racism, you got it all twisted. You got it all twisted. It ain't. I don't have an overnight solution for something that has been embedded in our culture and our politics and our education system for like 100 years. Like, I don't have an answer for you to deal with this tomorrow. Like, I don't, and it's not. And let me say this, and it's not even fair to put that burden on me or anybody else to answer, to give you convenient solutions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man, that's kind of a little bit of a download of where my heart is at right now. So yeah,
It's real talk. And I love that about you, man, and that you've got content, you got the character, and you got the heart. And you mentioned a scripture at the beginning of our chat. You know, we rejoice with those who are rejoicing. We mourn with those who mourn. And one of the saddest realities that's been a reality, not just this week, but I think for the entirety of our nation, would be the term we use now called tone deaf, where the church was tone deaf, blind to the reality of what was taking place all around us. And you're right. I think that with this pandemic, where life, quote unquote, slows down, and we don't have these other distractions, all of a sudden it's like, and someone posted, you know, racism has been there, but now it's just being filmed. And it's just more in our face. Imagine the countless stories that happen all the time, and it's just never brought to the forefront. And we are just inoculated to it all because that's our norm. And so this, even the video this week, it has now these last couple of weeks. All of a sudden, the media and the white church, for that matter, white folks for that matter, are beginning to at least say something. And I get you what you're saying with, like, are some just jumping on the bandwagon? Could be. It could be. And that's just the reality of our culture and society right now, right? And so in this moment, you know, where the pain is real and we're reminded, I go back with you, man, and I was chatting this week on live at different times. You know, to me, coming from the suburbs and coming into the city, and we had all kinds of lengthy conversations. And I remember we're talking about like white privilege and opportunities, and coming from my framework, quote unquote, my worldview, it was like, what are you talking about? I thought opportunities were equal for all of us. And you graciously and patiently said, PJJ, I know you mean well and you have great intentions, but that's not the reality. And beginning to walk with you and experiencing firsthand, and we have a handful of stories where all of a sudden it's like, it wasn't just theory. I saw it with my own eyes, what it meant to be profiled, discriminated. I remember us being at a certain location, and I'd been there many times before, many times, and no one ever approached me. The one time I bring you with me, an authority figure walks up to check up on us and see if we're up to no good. And you told me, it's like, bro, look, this is what I'm talking about. He's coming. And that's just one of many examples where I saw it firsthand. So I can't even imagine having to live a lifetime like that, being under that kind of scrutiny and pressure. And it's not equal. It's not an equal start, right? They say equal opportunities, but we're starting at different vantage points. And so, bro, I love you, man. I love you because your heart, even you've crossed over the aisle and you've been an agent of change. Not only, you know, having a voice, but also having the courage and just the patience to come alongside knuckleheads like me and just love on me, man. And love, you know how we get down now. I mean, even the way I talk has changed because you've been an influence on me. But yeah, tell us more, man. What else are you sensing and feeling and seeing?
it's painful, you know. I think about my it's not fair that we have.
Looks like we lost him for a second here, but as soon as he jumps back on, I'll be sure to bring him back. And Pastor Keys, I mean, if you don't know, I'm not only is he a pastor and a minister, but even the Lord, how he's opened doors for him. And now he's got a prominent place working at the mayor's office and being a catalyst of change in our community. And So, yeah, I mean, God's raised him up to be a voice. And yeah, this is a tough convo. Jeremy's telling us, and it is a tougher, and the enemy wants to silence the voice. I mean, I don't know if this is prophetic or not, but even with technology, look at this, like here we are. And with technology and all the crazy, amazing opportunities that we have, and even glitches like this happen. So let's hang in there for a few moments and he'll jump back on with us. But yeah, Pastor Keys is a voice. And one thing that God's been speaking to me about is in this hour, we can't just be an echo and just repeat like parrots do. We're called to be a voice. God's given us a voice. God's given you a voice. And that we want to speak truth. We want to speak life. And from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And, so good or bad, it comes out. And let's see if Keys comes back on here. Hopefully any second he'll jump back on with us. And we'll continue the dialogue. And it's important. And one of the things that we're hoping to, I didn't come with bullet points today. I didn't want to have a script. I wanted to hear from the Holy Spirit. I want to hear from Keys. And one of the things that we want to chat about, here he comes. All right. One of the things that we want to hear is like, how can we be about it? And all right. All right, man, I got you back.
Yeah, sorry about that. Probably like everyone's on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Welcome to having a family of 6, huh?
For real. Lord knows I needed a break already.
It's good, man.
Man. Can you hear me okay now?
We can, and we can see you more clearly too. So this is a better signal all the way around.
Okay. Yeah.
And someone even posted, someone like, see, they're trying to even shut his voice down even here. So, but go on, man. What were you saying?
I forgot. Next topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I was just kind of getting overwhelmed thinking about my sons, raising, 4 kids, beautiful black kids, unapologetically black, and Puerto Rican kids in this society is overwhelming. And, I get a little emotional thinking about, the stuff that we have to tell our black boys. It's ridiculous, man. The training that they need as, at young, again, Tamir Rice, a young, teenager, playing with his, like his sister in a park is a threat. Our just sheer presence is a threat. You talk about times that we've hung out across the country, you know what I'm saying? And I'll call it out right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, watch this, watch how this happens, or you know what I mean? Things that you could do that I could never do. You know what I'm saying? And it's whack, man. And it gets exhausting. And so yeah. So again, I kind of lost my train of thought from earlier, but the devil tried to stop the live, I guess.
You're thinking about your boys and having to raise up, black boys in our culture and the challenge that is, and the hurdles that you have, and preparing them for their reality, which is different than white people's reality.
Right. And so, yeah, man. Yeah. And so, as I was saying earlier, what does it look like to be, a defender? What does it look like to be supportive in this time? Again, I want to say it loud and say it very clearly. And I told you, and it was a tough conversation we were having this morning. It's not all of our responsibility to answer y'all problems. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, if we're being real about it, the easy approach to this is, hey, Pastor Keith and Hav, tell us what to do. Can we go to the next march or rally? That's easy. You know what I'm saying? The reality is we're gonna have to live with this thing for much longer, and it's deep when you think about it. The system that allowed that to happen. I personally I can't watch these videos. Let me be real about this. I didn't. I saw about 3 seconds a dude's knee in his neck. That was I can't take it no more.
Yeah.
I can't take this stuff in. It's too traumatic. So I personally didn't watch it. You were describing to me what happened. It sounds like all out murder.
It was.
Maybe first degree murder. You know, to pull the dude out the car and like it's just ridiculous. I don't know. I'll say that to the lawyers to deal with.
Yeah.
But let's be clear about this. This didn't happen overnight.
Right.
The systems that have created the Oscar Grants, the Tamir White, we say these names, the Sandra Blands, we say these names, Mario Woods, right in San Francisco. We say these names. These systems that allow this to happen over and over again didn't happen overnight. And so it's kind of ignorant if we're being real about it.
Mm-hmm.
If our non-Black brothers and sisters want to come to us for some like microwave solution,
right?
Some actionable steps for tomorrow, when this has been not created by us, it's been created to us.
Right.
So think about we talked about the live that we saw with Christine Kane recently. She was talking about sex slaves. And she was talking about how when they're captured and they're freed from this tragic, demonic act of sex trafficking across the globe, you're not going to put these victims, these young women from across the world, in front of their predators,
right?
And tell them to give you solutions to the problems that they never created.
Correct. To be reconciled, right?
So you don't ask us to fix everything in a system we never broke, and a system that's only further victimized and criminalized us, and we're it's an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm.
And to our conversation, you know, and I challenge you, JonJon, you know what I'm saying, in love, for you to sit with it, to think about it deeply, meditate, talk to the people in your circles, MFI, ARC, and all these dominant, affluent systems and organizations that have all benefited from this system. Let's be real about this.
Right.
And so there's a framework I deal with at work. For those that don't know, I work in public housing and redevelopment. And something called Hope SF. You could research it, Hope SF. It's in San Francisco, trying to revitalize housing. And what I was sharing with you, JonJon, earlier, I was sharing with the folks watching, is the first step to healing, you know, because people in our circles want to rush over to racial reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
Want to rush over to having panel discussions and these IG lives, and again, these kind of quick fixes so that everyone could feel like they did something good for the society. And the first step to in the world I work in is truth. That's my challenge to you, JonJon, and to anybody that really cares about this stuff. And I shout out to Kaya, who really did an amazing essay on this topic that was very, very well done and very deep from the soul. And I really appreciate that. And I told you, you know, we need some more Kayas out there that will sit with the truth of what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
So before we rush to the solutions and let's go out to protests and let's, you know, be an ally, or with all these different terms, sit with the truth of what's going on, what's been going on since Jim Crow and beyond.
Yeah.
And then here's a tough question for you and for a lot of our brothers and sisters. How have you benefited from that system?
Yeah.
Can we keep it real today?
Absolutely. Yeah.
How have, because when you mention, the blindness or the tone deafness, if I'm gonna be all the way 100 with you, that deafness and that blindness is often willing. It's a willing blindness. It's a willing ignorance.
Deliberate.
It's very deliberate. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it deliberate?
Convenience.
It's because you're benefiting from it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you've never had to wrestle with that truth of what's really going on.
Yep.
And so before anyone comes at me about what can we do for Black people, sit with the truth of how you benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
Before you burden me with another thing to do. I already got to be Black in America. Is that not enough?
Right.
Is that not enough?
Yeah.
And when we sit with that truth, I believe God's going to do amazing things to heal the land.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, man, I think that's really a first step. Again, I want to give a quick shout out to some of the folks on the front line that's doing, I think there are some tangible things that folks can do to come alongside folks on the front lines of justice and healing in our city. Geo, Hav. So there's people that, myself, there are things that you can do right now to be a part of the solution. Right now, there's plenty of opportunities to help out. And I think about our church, if I'm just going to speak from the heart, man, this is tough as a pastor right now, because I have to just keep it real.
Keep it real.
Man. Yeah. Let me be slow to speak. Let's talk about something else. What's on your mind, buddy? Tell me what's on your mind, slugger. Before I start going off.
No, I hear you, but I think it's relevant, bro. We need to talk about pain, and I think oftentimes we redirect how people react differently to pain, and there's a saying that people don't know what they don't know, and I've talked with you about this for years, and that I'm like, dude, my eyes were not open. I didn't realize that this was a fixed game, that there was a system that benefited me in my naivety and ignorance. I thought it was the same. And that's why the way we process, the way we think, because of how we've been conditioned in our upbringing and our influence generationally, we can't help but just repeat the cycles. And left unchecked, it continues to repeat itself. And so that's why even our conversation, and you're keeping it very real with me and saying, hey, stop coming to me to try to provide a solution for me. I get that. And I told you, for me, I'm like, man, I just don't want to provide help in areas that aren't being needed. And I don't want to agitate something and flip the wrong table, so to speak. So how can I be a proponent of change? And how can we truly be agents of transformation? And you helped me. You helped me to see from a different lens, which was so powerful. So I don't know if you want to get into that right now, or if we don't even talk about it, but.
Yeah. I guess, a couple of thoughts that we were talking about earlier, I think may be helpful for some. There's a site that I shared with you around, and I see you, Hav. I hear you, man. It is definitely a part, Lamentations, right? Mourning and, a space for, I think Shiloh just did something recently where just, predominantly for Black folks, a space for folks to just heal and just talk amongst themselves as folks in the kingdom and folks that are trying to be Christians and in this society, to come together and know that you're not the only one hurting. And so yeah, maybe City Life will do something in the future or collab with our friends at Shiloh and continue to hold space for folks to just have spaces of healing where that was the first. I went to Alabama recently. I was sharing this with you, we're predominantly white folks, and it was hard for me. It was hard for me to go through the lynching museum and these different memorials of what has happened in our country. American terrorism is what we see in deep South Alabama, and we need spaces to heal. I would say that, again, thank you for bringing that up, and I think that's a tangible solution that we need for our folks. The other thing that we talked about earlier is and it's terminology, so it you could use different words or whatever, but the different terms that phases in the fight for coming together, particularly for our white brothers and sisters. And we're sharing this with you earlier. It's actor, ally, and accomplice. Actor, ally, and accomplice. And I'll read a couple of definitions I got from the site. It's pretty good. The actor, as defined by someone named Lilla Watson, is if you have come here to help me, you're wasting your time. If you come because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together. I'll say that one more time for those in the back. If you're coming to the conversation to help those poor little Black people, you're wasting your time. If you come because you realize that your liberation, your healing, your freedom is bound up with mine, that if you're not free, or if I'm not free and have equal justice and have equity and have an even playing field, a day that we could teach our kids, it's about the content of the heart, as King said, and not the color of our skin, then we could work together. But if you're coming with that savior complex that you're going to come in and fix everything, then there's a problem.
Say it. Yeah.
The next phase is ally. This is a cool phase. And I'm not going to prescribe where you're at or where anybody else is at. I'm going to say that for another conversation. The ally will mostly engage in activism by standing with the individual or group in a marginalized community. But an accomplice will focus more on dismantling the structures that oppress that individual or group, and such work will be directed by the stakeholders in the marginalized group. It's actually kind of something what you were saying, because you were telling me earlier you want to help, but you want to come alongside those that are already doing the work, which is great. So you're doing pretty good, buddy. I'll say that one more time, because that ally and that accomplice, it could get a little confusing and figuring out where you stand at. And so I'll say that one more time for those that didn't catch it. Maybe you'll catch it next week. An ally will mostly engage in activism by standing with the individual or group in a marginalized community. That's going to the protest. That's, hashtag Black Lives Matter. Again, these things are very convenient. Social media posts, Insta story, you know what I'm saying? Again, these are things that are it's a step forward, but
there's more.
Does it make change? No. Our system's not changing because you posted on social media. Can we talk about that real quick?
Right.
The accomplice will focus, and this is what I was challenging you as a prominent global leader. An accomplice will focus more on dismantling the structures that have oppressed those groups. And such work will be directed by the stakeholders in the marginalized group.
That's good. Say it again.
Compass will focus more on dismantling the structures that that are oppressed by the individual groups, and that work will be directed or led by the stakeholders in the marginalized group. So let me say it like this: it's coming in to not do stuff for me. It's coming alongside to do stuff with us. It's a huge difference. Yeah, it's a huge difference to come alongside and and roll up the sleeves and come with your brothers and your sisters to see a more just society.
Mm-hmm.
It's thinking about what are those structures and those systems that create the inequality that we see. I was sharing with you just some real data, there's some real facts, because it's not about emotionalism and feelings. San Francisco is has been one of the most segregated cities in the country. And it has been seen as this liberal, diverse place. And that's a lie. It looks like that on the front end, but when you peel back the onion, you start to see the deeper layers of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a couple of resources I want to share with folks, just off the top of the cuff. There's a documentary, I think it's free on YouTube, called Take That Hammer. Take That Hammer was a documentary by an individual named James Baldwin, and it was in the 60s. And he came to San Francisco. He came to San Francisco in the 60s to show the world that there's no difference of liberal San Francisco and deep racist white South Alabama. Think about that for a quick second.
Wow.
In our naive mind, the Bay Area, San Francisco is so diverse, and it's it's again liberal, it's just, and it's a lie. It's a lie. It's surface. And so what James Baldwin did was he peeled back the onion to see that the experience of the black man in San Francisco is no different than the experience of the black man in Deep South Alabama. Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy when you think about that. I was sharing with you some data, and again, folks can research this stuff, that not that long ago, maybe about 10 years ago or so, they did a research study in San Francisco where they were able to show that it's called the 7th Street Corner Study. San Francisco, y'all. San Francisco, the city that we love, native, my home. 7th Street Corner Study, where they're able to show that the largest disparities from health, right, cancer and heart conditions and all these things, education, economics, that were condensed in these 7 street corners. 4 of them being on the southeast side, predominantly black and brown communities, called the 7th Street Corner Study. So they were able to see that they're in San Francisco, in liberal San Francisco, their poverty and racism is concentrated in these 7 street corners, these 7 areas. So now my outcomes, watch this, my outcomes are dictated by my zip code.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow.
Help us. So people are born into this stuff. You're born in the 94124. You are slated to live 30 years. 30 years shorter than someone that lives 2 miles away. And again, I may get a little emotional here, but these are just facts. This is just data.
Yeah.
This is I was sharing with you a research study Harvard did recently around the segregation of our schools in the early 2000s. That upwards of 70 to 80% of the schools in the South were still segregated in the early 2000s. And again, these are all things that are written in policy, that are written in our laws, both written code. And that was the eye-opening thing when I went to Alabama was you start to see they have a wall, and I encourage anybody that's could go to it's the Equal Justice Initiative. You could look it up, the Equal Justice Initiative. And they did a memorial led by Byron Stevenson. And they do a memorial. It's amazing. It's heart-wrenching, but it deals with that truth. And that's what I'm trying to get to. We have to sit with this truth for a minute and deal with this truth of how we got here today before we rush to solutions. You can't get to a solution if you ain't dealing with the truth of how we got there.
Right.
And so in this memorial in Alabama, they have this wall of all these racist policies that were on the books. These are laws, like a barber This is law. A barber must not allow use the same clipper on a white man and a black man. A law.
Wow.
If a barber cut a black man's hair, he couldn't use the same clipper on a white man's hair, and he would go to jail.
Wow.
On the books, in our legislation, deep into our policies. Crazy. I was sharing with you, when you go through the lynching memorial, you go through this memorial and I think that's the important part that we could do as kingdom people. And we see in scripture that, they would build these altars of remembrance. They will build these spaces where they will memorialize what happened. To this day, I personally been to Israel, and they did this beautiful memorial to remember and never forget what happened in the Holocaust. Jewish folks would never let you forget. Our world would never let you forget what happened, and you should never forget that. But for some odd reason, we don't do the same thing for the lynching and the slavery that we seen just 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that in church one time?
Yeah.
And white people across the world telling us to forget about it and move on. That's crazy.
Right.
It's my great grandfather that was hung. Like, it's not even that far removed.
Yeah.
And so we have to sit with this history, this truth, and we know we're not going to just get over it. No, we're not going to just forget about it. Let's sit and mourn together. Let's sit and talk about, again, let's be real about how John, your kids will be benefited from these systems, and how my kids have a disadvantage from these systems. Let's deal with that hard truth. Let's deal with the truth of the church culture, that why is it predominantly white men in leadership? Ain't no different than Congress. Ain't no different than politicians. Ain't no different than the police academies. It looks the same from the church to the systems in the world. It's all reflected. That didn't happen overnight. Man. And so, when I was in Alabama looking at, and walking through this experience, at the Equal Justice, memorial, and then you start to see why people were lynched. And it will blow your mind. And this is documented, bro. This is not emotion. This is not feelings. This is not a propaganda. This is not some social media, whatever. This is facts. You would see stuff like, no lie, multiple irritated a white woman. That's why black people got lynched. Looking at a white woman. So what we saw to Floyd this week, what happened over and over again. It was in the papers, bro. It was like Monday Night Football. They were put in the papers. Come through 7:00. We're gonna lynch this brother, and people would bring their kids to this, and their whole family. It was a family gathering, and people would come and watch a man get hung and burned. I told you a story, and again, this is real facts. That one incident. This is how demonic and how sick folks were back in. They did the event. They put it in the papers. Everyone came. Oftentimes, thousands of people would come and watch this, and this was normal for them. Again, this is if we talk about, again, this is just not a few generations removed. This is like our grandfathers, our great grandfathers. They came around and they will watch this stuff, and then you know how deep and how sick this thing was. They would even cut the body parts up and sell them. And people wanted the body parts of these individuals that were hung and crucified as souvenirs. That is in the DNA. That is in the DNA of our society. That is what allowed that man to put his knee on his neck for that long, because he didn't see him as human. It's deep when you think about it. He's not even as worth a animal. That again, we see this stuff over and over again, and what has enabled the conditions to get to this place?
Mm-hmm.
American terrorism. And so I'm not sure how we got there, but that was, I think we were talking about the actor, the ally, and then the accomplice.
Knowing the truth, knowing that it's real.
Yeah.
Understanding where we've come from, and that's it makes me sick to my stomach. I mean, literally want to throw up again. And different posts, people are saying, I think Julia, my sister-in-law, says, what they don't see, they don't believe. It happens. I remember years ago going to a wedding. I won't even mention where it was, but here in the Bay Area, a very prestigious community in the Bay Area. Beautiful wedding. And Julia's married to a Black man, and they were really late to the wedding. It was a while back before we had all the GPS stuff and, Google Maps, et cetera. So when they finally got there, I think it might have been right at the end, they had stopped for directions, and they gone into, I think it was a laundromat or something, I forget. And a white old woman tells my brother-in-law, your people don't belong here, something to that extent. And it was just so like, can you believe in this day and age? And it's real. We live here. And I love what you said about, and the word compassion means to sit with the hurting. Come alongside and sit with the hurting. And white America has been so busy doing our programs and everything that we do, we haven't slowed down just to sit in here and listen and feel and experience the pain. Yeah. And I want to talk about something, bro, that our church, obviously San Francisco is a very diverse church. So we got folks from all over the world, and you come into our congregation, it's very, very diverse that way. Again, you've been gracious in helping educate me. Different people keep saying, we got to be educated. It's like you've mentored me in this, which is incredible. And I love these three words that you just talked about, and the actor, the ally, and then the accomplice, right? And I love what you told me this morning. I think it's very important in that more than just coming and sitting with the hurting and listening, the goal is not to bring change into the African American community, but what can I change in my spheres of influence? What can a young high school student do on their school campus? What could an entrepreneur do on their plateau, their field of influence? What is it that we can do and be a voice of change to truly see transformation? Maybe you can speak on that a little bit and maybe help educate us all, myself included.
Yeah, again, I want to keep it simple for a moment. And again, like I told you earlier, I don't want to be too prescriptive. I don't want to prescribe your journey, because the reality is each one's journey is significantly different.
Right.
And so I'm believing that the Holy Spirit will move on the hearts of those that are truly contrite and truly want to hold this, as I said earlier, like the song, and want to defend and come alongside this journey, because the same way it didn't happen overnight, we're not going to change it overnight. We got to be very clear about that. This is a long, exhausting journey. And let's be real about this. You are how old, John?
46.
46 years old. And think about that for yourself personally. And we're just going to get real. Let's get real about this. 46 years. You're just now kind of trying to start this awakening and this, not to say it started today per se, because obviously, 8 years ago when we connected, that's a monumental moment for us. But you kind of catch where I'm going with this.
Yeah. That
to embrace, in the same way we think about church planning, right? And this it's a marathon. that's ahead of us. And so yeah, I don't want to be too prescriptive on what any people group. I would say largely that when I think about what we preach and what the Word of God shares with us, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, or what we say as pastors, and it's true to the word, is where your treasures is.
Say that.
It reveals a lot. And our treasures, we often reference finances, economics, resources, and time, our relationships. Can we talk about that on this live real quick?
Come on.
And we often, in American church, we talk about that within the system of the church. I hope I don't lose my pastor card after this one. I think I'm gonna just go there real quick, because I think the principle applies. The principle applies. Where your treasure is, your heart is at. And the reality is, our treasures were never around justice.
Say that.
It's getting there for many. Because if our treasure was where God, and we know this from Scripture, God is a God of justice. God deeply cares about justice and mercy. It's a core principle of who God is.
Right.
Hence, it should be a core principle, a principle of who we are.
That's right.
But American Christianity and American church has been conditioned not by the kingdom and the laws of God's word, but the kingdom and the laws of the land. That are deeply rooted in where? In racism and white supremacy. So our churches and our church organizations, I think they're going to delete this. So I might as well go for it while we're on the live.
Let's go like this. Instagram is going to shut us down in like 25 seconds. So we're going to wrap part 1 of our chat, and we're going to...
Let's just pick it up. Let's just pick it up next week. This is too much, bro.
No, you're on a roll, bro. You're like, we built it up to this. So to those of you that are watching, we're going to go off and then jump right back on, y'all, because this is real.
I think my phone's going to die. This is too much, man. Let's
let's go. There we go. Hold on.
Come on, man.
Part 2, man. We got this.
All right, here we are. We're going to part 2 of our conversation with Pastor Keys. And let's see who all's jumping in. Chef Eric and Jerry were the first ones to jump in, or Raquel. Let's go. Let's see if Pastor Keys has some more grace. It was just getting good right there too, huh? So as soon as Pastor Keys jumps in, holler, let me know, Pastor Keys. Real stuff. This is a real conversation. This is better than a Sunday sermon. Here we go.
Pastor Keys, my man, you coming on? There you are, bro. You're just getting started. That was fire right there. Ride that momentum, baby.
I forgot what I was talking about, man. I just be going. I don't be knowing what I be talking about, man.
No, you're saying your heart is where your treasures are, and talking about priorities and institutions and justice system.
Yeah, I think I lost my train of thought. What was it? Was there a question?
I'm not sure that it was a question as much as we're talking about value system and where we put our values.
Yeah. That's good. I was talking about the king, like the way we preach in American Christianity. We talk about, where your treasure at. Again, it's the word, right? Where your treasures are at, your heart is there also. And in an American Christianity, in the church world we live in, if we're just being real as pastors, you know how to preach that to get a result or to get an outcome. Again, this is a lot of this basic psychology, sociology, right? We know this, right? How people respond and whatnot. And so, but again, the real core of the point is that God's truth will remain. That heaven and earth will pass away, but God's word will never pass away. And the point there was that the heart of God is a heart for justice. The heart of God is a heart for mercy. The Bible says that that Jesus died for everyone. He took on justice on himself, wrath on himself, to make us the righteousness of God. That's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
And the principle about the treasures, and what we would preach as pastors in Christian society, is that our time and our money reflect where our heart is at. So we are in a generation that spends $1,000 on Jordans, on sports events, on food. So that's where our treasure is at.
Right.
We spend a lot of time on Netflix.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time watching ESPN and sports, because that's where our treasure is. We spend a lot of time on vain, meaningless things like video games, on social media, because that's where our heart is. If we're being real about this, we don't spend our time in the hood. We don't spend our time at City Hall trying to change policies. We don't spend our time in church trying to change the oppressive system, because that's not where our heart is.
Right.
Because we treasure people in seats more than we treasure justice.
Say it.
We treasure a 32-minute worship set more than we treasure justice. So many people ain't on the front line doing the work.
Yeah.
Because that our heart's not there. We don't treasure those things. We treasure what the system, the culture has taught us to love and to treasure. So that's the shift. So I think the reason why I brought that up is because I was thinking about the folks that's on the front line that are doing the work every single day, you know, and that's where I came to a hard stop earlier, because I'm not sure if I'm ready to even talk about that here yet. As a pastor of City Life Church, it is actually very rare that anyone has ever asked me to come. Did you catch that last part? Did I cut off?
Say that again. No. Yeah.
In 8 years of ministry, it is very rare that many, if any, have ever asked me to come volunteer, to come help do the work. And I'm sure Hav has had that same experience. I'm sure Gio have had the same experience, that folks know that we're out there doing it, but it's folks' hearts at a place where they want to pursue it in the same way. That's the challenge of American Christianity. It's a challenge of our dominant culture, that for some odd reason that we believe a Sunday service and a life group is sufficient for kingdom reality and kingdom living. And it's whack. It's whack.
Wow. Tell us what you really think.
And so we see this man be publicly lynched, and then poof, all of a sudden our hearts are gripped with the reality that we need to do something about it. And what's frustrating about that is, like, bro, we this ain't nothing new. Like we've known this for quite some time. And it's time for us. A lot of us have been doing the work, and trying our best to make a more just society. And many are starting to awaken to that reality. And so I have a word that I want to share to my folks on the front line. I was thinking about my colleagues, maybe some that's watching. I have no idea who's actually watching right now, so I don't know. I'm gonna mess around, lose my job, and lose my minister's card all in 1 hour. That's crazy.
Or two.
But hey, and so I was thinking, it's something that Hav shared yesterday on the live that I thought was pretty powerful. Was the call for us that have been doing the work on the front line and will continue to do the work on the front line is to continue to pursue justice while guarding our souls. Because it is very exhausting and we have to take care of ourselves. You know, the Bible says his yoke is easy and his burden is light. And we got to take on the Lord's yoke. The yoke of the world. Can I talk about it? The yoke of the world, the yoke of racism is a heavy yoke. It's a heavy yoke. It's a heavy burden. It's too heavy for any one person or people group to carry.
Yeah.
You know, but it doesn't mean that we don't keep fighting the fight, the good fight.
Yeah.
Right? The good fight. It's a good fight. You know, and you know, Galatians, you know, Bible says that don't get weary in doing well, because in due season you will reap your rewards. And so I believe that we got to continue to fight for justice, pursue justice, but we must guard our heart. We must guard our heart. And again, that's a word specifically to, you know, our Black and brown folks on the front line that's carrying this weight every day. I was sharing with you the individuals that we, you know, the too many young people that we buried due to gang violence. You know what I'm saying? You know, this stuff is so heavy. Fighting the economic engine that is San Francisco. You know, a lot of people don't understand the wealth gap that's in San Francisco, that the places that we work in, there's about $100,000 wealth gap right now in San Francisco, where the poorest make roughly, you know, 15 to 20,000 per year, while the wealthy, or the now considered even the low to moderate income folks, make $100K a year. That's the gap, and we're in that, trying to solve things within a system that's so broken like that. Is really deep when you really think about it. And so, to guard our hearts, to understand that the yoke of the Lord is easy and his burden is light. That we're not doing this alone. That we're doing this together. And then the word that came to mind as I thought about you, and I thought about you know, our folks that are trying to figure out what to do. I thought about Ruth, actually. I thought about the spirit of Ruth and that whole conversation. And I'm not sure who this is for that's out there, but I'm gonna read Ruth chapter 1 and verse 16. It says, "Don't urge me to leave you or turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people. Your God, my God." To sit with that verse. To what does it mean to sit with? Again, stop telling me what to tell you to do. Just sit with this thing for a minute. What does it mean to go where I go? Right? Because again, American Christianity will say, "Come follow me." You know, come and see. Come to my church. Let's go to that mission field. It's not come sit with me. Come to the place. Come to the. I challenge anyone listening right now. Go to the L's with Gio just one day a month. Go see it for yourself. the tale of two cities.
Mm. Mm.
Don't urge me to leave you or turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God.
Come on.
We don't need a bunch of saviors.
Come on.
That ain't doing us no good.
Mm.
We don't need a savior complex. We had enough of that. That's how we got to where we at today.
Yeah.
That's why you look across every denomination.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see true diversity in these organizations. You don't see diversity in the pulpits. You don't see diversity as it relates to the economic structures within both the church system and the government systems. You don't see equity. You don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about it today?
Come on.
And so, yeah, man, that was heavy on me this morning, man. The spirit of Ruth, man, the spirit of that, just be with us, be willing to go where we go, and not when let's be clear, and not when it's convenient,
right?
Not when it's convenient, because that's what I'm not gonna put them on blast, but I got a call this week, like, hey, just so and so wants to help, and but can you got something on Saturday?
Right.
Really? Poverty don't take any days off. Justice and injustice doesn't take any days off. But again, in our Americanized Western culture and system, we want justice when it's convenient. We want justice again. We want a couple of social media posts. We want get out there when it's inconvenient. Shout out to Gio. No photo ops, please. No selfies. Come on.
That's good.
Come on, somebody. Man, you're gonna get me in trouble.
No, Pastor Dale's gonna get people in trouble, bro.
Oh my goodness, man. So yeah, man, that's I don't have much more. I don't know if you want to fill some questions, but I think lastly the framework. Let me give you two couple things. A framework in which I use to process this work that we do. Can you get the charger, the portable charger? I'm about to die.
You're talking to the Holy Spirit. Who are you talking to? The Holy Spirit you looked up.
I need a miracle charger right now, bro. Okay, so it's in the room. It's in the room, the kids' room. So please, por favor. This framework, this sort of framework that helps that I use in my job, I think would be helpful for folks that may be listening, and for the church. That was mine. Catherine's taking my candy now. I need some sweets. Can you hear me? We good?
We good.
All right. So this framework that has helped me and my team process the work that we do in public housing is a couple points. Again, because we got to be careful as Christians. That's our audience for this. And I know we have other friends watching, but we want to rush over to healing, to racial reconciliation, or we want to rush over to the solution. As we said earlier, and maybe this framework may help some folks, the first phase of the process is truth. We talked about that already, so I'm not going to deal with that again. To deal with the truth of what's going on now in the present day, but also how we got there. There's some great resources I want to share with folks that's out there that I think could be helpful. A couple of resources for those taking notes. There's a documentary that you can find online. We shared earlier, Take That Hammer. It kind of speaks to happened back in, I want to say like the 70s or 60s. I think it's maybe the 70s, around the disparities of the plight of the Black man. Another great documentary that is out there, I think Brad Pitt has something to do with it. It's called The House I Live In. The House That I Live In. It's a great documentary kind of dealing with the justice system. And again, we have to understand the what drives these things is often economics. Let's talk about that real quick. Let's deal with that. If we're gonna really get into this, bro, it's going to have to hit the core of what's going to make us very uncomfortable. And so we
That's
start
right.
talking about the economics, both in our public systems, but if we start talking about economics in our church system, it's gonna hurt a little bit.
Right.
But I'm gonna leave that for another conversation. So the house I live in is another good one.
Yeah.
Another great one that's on Netflix called 13th.
Yeah.
13th is a good one. You know, it talks about, again, it starts to, if we're going to deal with truth, you start to dig deeper into the systems and the structures that create this stuff, right? So 13th is another good one. Then the last two I'm gonna share, and there's plenty others, and folks can email me directly, Marquez at citylifesf.com. I could share different links or whatever. The other couple other ones real quick, because when I went to Alabama, really opened my eyes, was the Equal Justice Initiative, EJI, Equal Justice Initiative, really digs deep into what we were talking about earlier around policies, legislation across the globe. What we're seeing, one thing I want to just say real quickly about the rates of deportation and how they're treating folks that are trying to come across the borders, the way they separate the children, all these things, the different encampments that exist right now in the United States of America.
Yeah.
That are hurting and terrorizing our Latinx families and brothers and sisters. Egregious, demonic when you think about it. Where these encampments are at, where they're jailing young little 5, 6-year-old kids, separate them from their parents.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Crazy when you think about it. So Equal Justice Initiative, the last website before I move on, is the Southern, I think it, maybe get this wrong, but it's something along the lines of Southern Poverty Law Center. The Southern Poverty Law Center. And so they're on the front lines right now, again, nationally, calling out hate organizations, trying to bring justice to, again, our Latinx folks that are being wrongfully persecuted, and a lot of the current injustice that we see and the brutality that we see, they're doing a lot of work on the front line there. So those are some resources that folks. So because what's interesting about, let's talk about this for a second. In Christianity, we're used to telling our folks to read the word, which is obviously that's good, and to study to show thyself approved. We have the principles that we need to move on with justice, but we have, again, because our hearts are not there yet, we haven't used those same principles. So in the same way you study football and you research stocks and bonds and whatever else, how about researching justice?
That's good. That's great. Powerful. It's powerful.
The same way there's like these Christian data groups that are researching millennials and all that stuff. How about researching racist America? Can we go there for a quick second?
That's great.
Because again, these same principles we use in areas that benefit us.
Correct.
That's convenient for us, that push our agenda. Can I talk about it right now? I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble, man. It's just too much. I wasn't prepared to go here, man. I don't know, man. But I'm gonna just keep going. Use the same principles you use, again, and often these vain pursuits we could use in the fight for justice.
That's great.
Because when you begin to research the data around what's going on, the injustices that have been going on for generations, it will start to enlighten you on what you could do today. And so, so those are a couple of resources. The house I live in, 13th on Netflix, Equal Justice Initiative, and the Southern Poverty Law Center are a few really good resources that have, again, this is beyond emotionalism. This is beyond a political agenda. This is straight facts. And let's deal with the data. Let's deal with the data. This fact I shared with this earlier is mind-blowing. In Alabama right now, in 2020, African-American people, Black folks, make up 95% of the prison population.
Wow.
95%.
Wow.
Crazy. 95. That's almost 100, bro. So white people ain't doing nothing wrong in Alabama? Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's modern day slavery.
Yeah.
And that's what the house I live in, which it will break that down a little bit to you, because then you got to start to see the cycle. Because when they go to prison, they become slaves. And they become slaves, and they have to do work on pennies for the dollar. That again continue to move our system forward.
Yeah.
Same thing with San Francisco. The black population makes up over 50-60% of the jail population, and we're only 4% of the city.
Wow.
San Francisco, we're about 60-70% of the systems, but only make up, on a good day, 4% of the population. That's a problem. So that's
crazy. Crazy.
That's the truth. So the framework, truth. So before we rush over to healing and reconciliation, let's deal with truth. The second part of it is restoration. And once we deal with the truth, we begin to be able to restore. You can't restore what you won't acknowledge was ever broken. Come on, somebody.
Come on.
You cannot restore. I can't, if you think about it in a natural terminology, right? I can't restore my sink if I don't acknowledge that it was broken.
Right.
And what America has never done is never acknowledged that the systems were broken. Because
say that.
Folks have benefited from it. So I can't restore something that I never believed was broken.
Come on.
So now I deal with my truth, then I could deal with restoration. And after restoration, then I can start to heal. Once I start to restore we think about Nehemiah, he restored the walls. In order for worship to continue, in order for God's word to continue, and healing to the land. You see where I'm going with this? Once he restored the walls, now the move of God could come in. And then healing, liberation, and freedom can roll like a river.
That's right.
Truth, restoration, and then it's until those things happen, we could then heal. Our folks can be liberated, and we can have true freedom. Right? Let's be real about this. Not Christian freedom, not American Christian freedom. It's different. Right?
That's right.
It's real different.
Yeah.
Because we know how to talk about demons. We know how to cast out demons. We know how to prophesy over demons. Let's start prophesying and rebuking poverty.
Come on.
And rebuking racial injustice. Let's start binding. We not to bind stuff. It's bind and all that. Let's start to bind the injustice that's going on. And then let's start to see some freedom in the land and some healing in the land.
Come on. You're preaching out, preacher.
I'm done, bro. I think that's it on my notes, man.
A while ago, I meet with our pastoral team every week, right? And Pastor David and I, he's like, how come I only get 1 hour with you, PJJ? Pastor Keys gets 3. Now y'all know why.
Equity. It's
powerful.
Catching up. It's catching up on time.
But these are our conversations, whether it's at Bayside Cafe, whenever we were open or whatever. It's like, it's always like this, man. And I love and value you, and God's raised you up to be a voice, bro. And you are a voice, and it's anointed. And we could be here all afternoon. There's so many great points that you're bringing up, and a handful of people commenting on different things. Jeremy a moment ago was saying, so like, how do we see some change? Do we need to get some more Black folks in government positions so that they can be a voice there? I mean, is that part of it? What are some of your thoughts concerning that?
I love y'all too. Chelsea, Nicole, I love y'all. Again, this conversation is not about being prescriptive and giving anyone on this live the easy solution.
Yeah, the 3 steps.
It's not. So we gave y'all some framework to start to deal with this, to sit with the truth. You know, I gave y'all some practical things for those that's in part of the City Life fam. Tap in with me, tap in with Geo, tap in with Hav, folks that are doing the work on the front line to say, how can I come out and help be a part of the solution?
Yeah.
Come volunteer at a food pantry with Oscar and see the lines of hundreds of people in wealthy San Francisco, a $12 billion city. People are still lining up around the corner to get a bag of groceries in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Our homeless population is ridiculous in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
So come out and volunteer. Come spend some time.
Yep.
Shout out to Malo too. I mean, the list is, we got homies on the front line.
Yeah, a lot of folks. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so my boy Oops from Shiloh, working at SCDC, Samoan Community Development Center. Geo's at Larkin Street Youth Center. Hav is doing, the arts across the Bay Area. So there's many opportunities. Again, if we go back to the kingdom principle of where your treasure is, your heart is, where are you donating where you spend your money at? Where do you spend your time at? I heard one person say it like this: if you go through your phone, your text messages, and your call log, and there ain't no Black people in there, you ain't talk to nobody, you ain't texting nobody, start there.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of asking me to give you a bunch of bullet points on what to do next, sit with it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Start to talk about why you haven't been part of the solution before, and sit with that truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I mean, there's places you could donate both your time and your resources to. I think about we were talking about this early. For those that don't know, the Floyd incident, God rest his soul, to die like that, to be executed like that, to be lynched like that publicly. From those that don't know, it was a 17-year-old young Black woman that recorded that the whole situation. Reach out to her, send her a positive letter.
Yeah.
Donate. I'm assuming she's 17. She's potentially a high school graduate and is dealing with that right now. On top of the burden of people blaming her for not stopping that situation, which is ridiculous, to put that burden on that young Black woman.
Yeah.
And so again, if you just sit with it and think about it, there are things that we can do to really be a part of the solution. And my challenge is for anyone again that wants to continue to ask me or any of us how to start. I want to submit to you in all love. That's a bit lazy. It's a bit lazy approach. To not do the hard work, to sit with the truth. Again, because you know where I'm going with this, JonJon. As a strategic thinker, we know how to strategize our. Let me just go there. Before this thing comes up. We know how to watch this. We know how to strategize our budgets.
Mm-hmm.
We know how to plan out our vacations. We know how to think about our sermon series. We know how to dig deep into church growth strategies and our own personal weight loss, healthy living.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do research on different types of diets. Can we go there today?
Mm-hmm. We
do research on different types of makeup and clothes. I mean, the list is on what iPhone to buy.
Right.
But we know how to work hard on a bunch of things that don't even mean nothing.
Right.
But then the topic of justice comes up, and now everybody wants to be hecka lazy and be like, hey, Black man, can you give me the answer? That's whack.
Mm-hmm.
That's whack.
Mm-hmm.
And it's lazy.
Yeah.
We research everything. And then we get to this one topic, and now we want to burden the people that are hurting the most.
Right.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
So again, I don't mean any, offense per se. That's just the truth and love, and particularly for the folks that we pastor at City Life Church, to push folks to stop being lazy.
Right. Right.
And I just preached on this last Sunday, when I was going through Thessalonians, that was actually like a sin that they were fighting and dealing with, was just laziness, and when it comes to this topic, don't be lazy about it. The same way we go hard for our work, again, for our personal budget, financial budgets, the way we, research stocks, should I sell now? Should I buy now? It's like, it takes a lot of research for this stuff. For those of us that love fantasy football, we're researching the best wide receiver and running backs. Or again, things that don't even mean nothing.
Right.
So if you're going to put that type of energy and time into all those things, put some energy and time to the fight for justice.
Right. Dale's trying to show me some love. He's like, it's all good, BJJ. We still love you. Yeah.
It's not personal, man.
Of course not.
Man. So yeah, man, that's about all I got. Thank you to you, man, as a someone that's going along the journey to trying to become an accomplice. I love you, man. You're my pastor. Unapologetically, you're my pastor. I'm proud to call you my pastor. My mentor. Someone that's helped me a lot along the journey. I appreciate you. Just always being there for my family. And I love you, man. I love I love our church. And so yeah, man,
Likewise. Yeah. Likewise. No, we are family. And yeah, I mean, so much more could be said. And this is, again, welcome everyone to our chats. Keys and I, we go way back, and it's always been raw. There's been passionate conversations where both of us with tears coming down our faces, just like trying to express our points of view. That's how we grow. And yeah, so I mean, we could go on and on, but someone said, hey, is this video going to be available somewhere? And yeah, we're recording it. We'll post it on our site or somewhere, Facebook, and so others can catch up and read it. It's so good. And so many great points. And this is just the tip of an iceberg. I mean, the conversation should be going on for years. And but I love the three words that you mentioned earlier, from an actor to an ally to an accomplice. And for me personally, I was really challenged, and you helped me to see. We sit with those who are hurting. So compassion is coming and sitting with truth and hearing. But then I'm going to be very proactive on my part, within the spheres of God and the platform that God's given me to, like, let's be an agent of change. Enough is enough. Let's be about it. Let's change things. And it's progressive, and God is helping us. And ultimately, bro, we know that this is a demonically inspired monster that goes deep through the generations. And so it's prayer and it's action. And I showed you some of the texts from other pastors that reached out to me this week. And we can't be silent. What would be, what are some of the social media folks that you would recommend folks to follow? Say, hey, this person, maybe two or three on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, these people they have a lot to say. They would really, and I know you're not trying to give me, not giving us steps, but just like help your boy out, like what are some voices? I listen to Miles McPherson, Sean King. I listen to a handful of these guys, and it helps me, like, wow, because the media doesn't report with an unbiased perspective. It doesn't matter where you get your footage from. Who would you say that you would recommend, like, hey, be looking out for these two or three individuals?
The most sound individual that I follow, because what I struggle with the most is what I said earlier. I have to preach that word to myself first. When I think about pursuing justice, I'm in these streets on a regular basis, so I see this stuff live and direct. I share with you just rest in peace to Reno, a young man that lost his life on the bridge a few weeks ago. You saw me mourning that loss of that young Samoan kid. He was young, and so it's really, really difficult to like pursue justice but guard my heart. So the individual for me that I follow is Eric Mason.
Yeah.
Eric Mason for me personally is the again, this is a personal opinion. This is not, I'm not declaring this to nobody. Is the most sound and balanced approach to what's going on. He has a strong Black leadership in his church out in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
He's a voice. He's a voice to both the kingdom, the church world, and he's influenced in other circles like Acts 29 and others, as well as the inner city. So that's very hard to find, because in most of these, if we're going to talk about it, I'm not going to call out any names real quick, but I'm gonna try to be nice about this. But most of these Black Christians that talk about these issues are only talking about it because it's convenient and they benefit from it.
Yeah. True.
Come on.
Yep.
And if you talk, you could social media, you could have a blog post about it, you could have a book about it, racial justice. But if I don't want to hear it, if you ain't living it,
right?
If you ain't living this thing on the front line, then you ain't got nothing to say to me, right?
That's right.
It falls on deaf ears. Anyone could write a blog post. I could say a couple of names that could write a quick blog for you.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about ideas of justice, right? We got some artists out here. You could write a spoken word about justice. You could go out to a protest. That don't mean that you live in this thing,
right?
So Eric Mason for me is one of very, very few.
Where did we hear him last? We were with him. I'm trying to remember if it was here in the city. Was it LA? I think maybe.
Yeah, I think it was Urban Youth Workers.
That's right. Yeah, LA.
Yeah. And so Urban Youth Workers, shout out to Larry Acosta, Urban Youth Workers, because that's when when you start to see folks of color in places of power and influence, that's where you start to see a significant shift.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's beyond the convenience of our structures. And so and then David's referring to when we did the life group on the book of Jonah, that was Eric as well.
Yeah, that's right.
So that would be the primary individual that I consistently follow and take in, because he has a good balance of both the social justice, the racial justice, as well as the kingdom. And that's what we have to remember for us. Again, I'm not speaking for everybody else out there, because I work with a lot of folks that are not believers, and that's fine. And I love my brothers and sisters that's on the front line as well that have different religious beliefs, and that's fine. But for me, in my house, we're gonna serve the Lord. Amen.
Right.
So and so with that, it's hard to find that balance, because you usually see one. It's like the pendulum swings really tough on one side or the other. So either you got strong social justice and no gospel, or strong gospel and no justice, and there has to be a both and approach to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you loud and clear. Loud and clear. Powerful. I mean, we can get into some conversations go for minutes.
Yeah, man. So I don't know if anybody else has like questions before. How much time do we have?
Well, our part 2 has about 19 minutes left, but we're good. I don't have to preach tomorrow. Everything's pre-recorded, so we good. But this right here, you and I talked about, like, hey, we should have a conversation. This could not have been captured in 25 minutes for a sermon on a Sunday. That's why I'm like, let's just chop it up. Let's have the conversation here, and people can watch from our website later or whatever, because this is money. This is powerful. We need it.
Yeah, I don't know about putting on no website, but you're gonna get me in trouble, man.
Nah, we're already in trouble, bro, but we don't care.
I think we should delete this, actually.
You do, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was for whoever joined and was on it like live. That's who it was for, man.
Again, man, the enemy wants to shut down that voice. I think we need to declare. We need to blast it from the mountaintop, from the rooftop, and just say, "Hey, listen up, church. Speak life."
Well, yeah, okay, all right. I don't know. We have to strategize about that later.
Yeah, we can. We can. Well, you don't want your boss to hear anything. You didn't say nothing like.
I don't know. I don't know what I was saying. To keep it real with you, I was just shooting from the heart, man. So I didn't have a lot of notes. But
No, everything was good. Everything was solid, and it's raw, but it's good because you're special, bro, man, and that's why God's raised you up. You're called to be a voice, and you are a voice, and it's real, it's authentic, it's genuine, it's felt. There is love, so it's not like you're just some mean black dude just blasting everybody. It's like, no, there's redemptive. There's a cry, and there's a love that is attached with it, which is it's powerful. You're a kingdom guy. You love people.
Can you block Dell? Is that possible?
Bro, he dropped the N word in the comments, and everything's being recorded. So it's like, hey, that's Pastor Dell, your boy from Fremont. But what are some questions? We got a couple minutes here. We'll take some questions right now. Somebody asked earlier, do you have to be a part of City Life Church in order to be a part of the front lines and serve? And the answer obviously is no.
Not at all. That's the crazy thing about how God has, molded our journey at City Life. And this personally, I've always struggled with, that intersection between our church world and the world I live outside. For those that don't know, I was, doing social justice type work and community organizing and youth leadership before I got saved.
Yeah.
And then I got saved, and they started to give me a deeper level purpose to why I do what I do. And I never really figured out how to bring those two worlds together. It's starting to happen now, like never before, which I'm excited about. And so, absolutely not, man. I think there's plenty of opportunities, no matter what church you're a part of in the city. We've been working with Sozo Church recently, helping us with some senior delivering meals to seniors. We've been working with Mobilize Love. Shout out to Christian and that group. Has been solid, on the front lines in Double Rock and Oakdale. And then we also work with our indigenous community organizations. You know what I mean? The City of Dreams, and the folks like the resident leaders in West Point and Double Rock, and the Bayview Senior Services, who's providing these thousands of meals every week. So yeah, absolutely, folks can hit me up directly. Marquez at citylifesf.com. You don't have to be a part of our church to get involved at all.
Not only that, but the problem isn't only San Francisco. This is systemic, and it's across the nation, across the globe. And we got friends that are watching us from around the nation. How can people step up and begin to make an immediate difference right now in their communities?
Yeah, I think it's a posture. I would say first and foremost, there's a what you can do, and then there's a how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to submit to you and anybody else listening, the how you do it is the most important. Too many times, our white brothers and sisters, our churches, our American churches, come into these communities and don't know how to come into these communities.
Right.
It's the same way we see in the mission field. Again, it's that savior complex. Let's come into the community and save those people.
Right. Right.
And that's whack.
Yeah. And keeping it real, because we talk about this all the time.
Come on.
Too many churches go in to do quote unquote outreach because there's a hook. Let's get them into our churches. And that's why you see all the selfies and social media blasts, and whatever. And that's just not the way we roll.
That's right.
Is if our goal is to just fill our auditoriums with people, and that's our motivation for outreach, we've missed it altogether. So from day one, it's been our dialogue. You know this.
Yeah.
Like we do outreaches, and we don't blast it on social media so as to kind of like, hey, look at what we're doing. We don't do that. We want to love people because they have a legitimate need. But
right. And so you said it. I didn't say that. That was on you, man. You said that. You called them out. And so the how we come into the community is so critical. So so we could give you a list of days and places to go to serve. But if you ain't coming in the right spirit and in the right heart, then just stay at home and do your social media posts. do your Insta stories.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
That's
And
right.
so the how is critical. How we come alongside, it's recognizing and honoring. And so the people are talking about Josh. Let me say this while we're talking.
Look at Dale putting Josh on
It's,
blast.
it's,
It's different.
it's whack. That's whack.
Yeah.
Because Josh is part of our family.
Yeah.
And is out there every single week. And is only doing the stuff on social media because I asked him to do that.
And he's on social media all the time about everything.
Correct. And let's be very, very clear. He is doing that because I asked him to do that because we needed more help out there. And if it was left up to me, I'll be doing it by myself. Like I've been doing for a long time. And so we asked Josh to do that so that we can get more people to know about what we're doing. Because for so long, been in shelter in place for like 3 months. And for so long, nobody knew what we were doing. That we were serving thousands of meals every single day. Every single week.
Yeah.
And so, and it's funny that, he's posting videos in places that people that want to talk about him ain't even been there.
That's right. Yeah. See, Dale, that's what you get, man. You put Josh on blast.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's good. But here's the point, back to the heart. It's what you're saying. It's how. So going in with the correct heart, the why behind the what. Why are we doing this? Are you doing this because you feel guilty and you need to check off your little box that, hey, I've done my little charity for the week or for the season, right? So yeah, so get involved is the point.
So the question is, and we love you, Josh, man. We thank you for your labor of love. Appreciate you, man. So I just want to say that. So as far as the what, there are a lot of what's. There's a lot of things that could be done. From the TL to Oakdale and Double Rock, there's plenty of places to serve. Again, shout out to Oscar who works for the SF Marin Food Pantry. He is serving thousands of people, sometimes thousands of people on one day.
Yeah.
And again, Oscar is the real deal. You know what I'm saying? He's the truth. You know what I mean? He knows how to get down with it. You know what I mean? And so the how is to come alongside those that are already doing it. And then it's also when you come there, it's how you approach the work. And this is a good word right here. It's the word honor. The problem that I've seen most Christians, they know how to honor the man of God, the pastors and whatever, and the bishops.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to honor the folks on the front line. Again, we're talking about the issues of the heart.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand what those folks are doing every single day in the community. And that's how we, City Life, that's our value. We honor those who have been doing the work.
Yeah.
We honor those that's been on the front line. Those in which we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, those that went before us.
Yeah.
Right? In San Francisco, there are so many kingdom leaders that some of my mentors, Valerie Tullier from the Mission District, Rudy Corpus, United Players, right? Reverend Brandon in Bayview. I could keep going. Right? The folks that are named after the streets in Bayview, like Espanola Jackson and Osceola and these different streets that are named after these Black women that have done the work for justice. We come in on the shoulders of those that were before us. And we honor those folks that have been doing the work. Watch this, JonJon. Christian or non-Christian? Can we talk about that real quick?
Come on.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Come on.
I'm not talking about honoring just because someone's some type of Christian believer. I'm talking about those like Diane Gray who volunteered after working full time for the school district, volunteered her time. 10 years. 10 years. No social media, no posts, on the front line helping young Black kids get to college. 10 years before she got any penny from the government.
Wow. Yeah.
Crazy. And so the how, right? That's what we're talking about. The how. So I can give you a list of what to do, when to do it, but it's important that anyone that comes with us, City Life, that's why I love Josh. He knows how to come into the community.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how and when to pull out his phone to take pictures and do a couple of videos.
Mm-hmm.
There's codes and ethics to all of this.
Say that.
There's code and ethics. There's street code. There's kingdom code, and the way we approach it is critical.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the what. There's a long list of the what, from the TL to Bayview on what to do. Oakland, another what. Let me say this real quick before I forget. Shout out to my family at Shiloh Church, Shiloh Impact. My boy, my brother Marquez. We're gonna be out at Lake Merritt this Sunday. Is that tomorrow? Tomorrow. We're gonna be out there. We're gonna be out there crying out to God. So all my white brothers and sisters that want to know about what you can do, come out tomorrow, 4:00 at Lake Merritt, and come pray. Come follow the lead of folks of color who put that event on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not an MFI event. It's not a Shiloh Church event. It's not a ARC event. It's not a Hillsong event. I could go down the list of names. It's not the big name. It's a kingdom event.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to come together as kingdom leaders.
Mm.
Shout out to Marcus and Don, the leaders, and then my boy Hobb is helping us on the City Life side.
What's the purpose again?
Together. We're going to represent for City Life, for Frisco. Frisco was going to be out there deep. You know what I'm saying? We're going to come out there and worship and pray and ask God to heal the land.
Mm-hmm.
We need God to come together. It is tomorrow, Sunday at 4:00, 4 p.m. At Lake Merritt.
What part of Lake Merritt?
Follow Shiloh Impact. Shiloh Impact is the name of the Instagram handle. Someone help me out and tag that and put them out there. Shiloh Impact is the leadership that's putting that on. And they will be leading that movement, and we will be out there. Lake Merritt, 4:00. Mm-hmm. That's another what we could do to follow the lead of someone that doesn't look like us as we cry out to God about these issues that are going on.
Yeah. And this, by the way, you guys were chatting about this even before the George Floyd situation.
We have been talking about this particular day for months. Before this. This has been in the heart of Marcus for months before any of this stuff jumped off. Before COVID, it's shelter in place. Before that jumped off, he had been contemplating doing this. And I love my brother. It takes a lot of courage because, again, the church systems and structures are not used to events like this. Let's be real about it, especially if it doesn't come. Watch it if it doesn't come from the top,
and if it doesn't benefit your own numbers.
Come on, this is a kingdom event. It's a kingdom event. It's not a Shiloh event. It's not a City Life event. It's a kingdom event. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you for bringing that up. This was on the books 3 months. We had no idea it was Pentecost Sunday. It just so happened to fall on that Sunday. And so, we're going to come together. We're going to worship. We're going to pray. And, we're going to hit the front lines, too. We're going to continue to hit the front lines. But we need to cry out to God together. Let me say this, bro. Thank you, Jesus. How much time we got?
About 3 minutes.
Oh, man. Thank you, Lord. So let me say real quick.
Take that offering right now, bro. Go ahead.
Donate now. Marquise Gray at PayPal.com right now. Real quick before we cut off. The issue of unity. Many people during these times, or whenever race stuff would come up, like Trayvon Martin or whatever, people would say stuff like, stop talking about race because it's divisive. And that's the devil.
Right.
Watch this, because what I realized, over time is when I saw Kaya's post, that was the most unifying post I saw from a white person ever. And it's deep when we start to acknowledge the truth of what's going on.
Yeah.
That is unity.
Yeah. It's great.
Ignoring it, talking about all lives matter, all this stuff, that's whack. When we start to unify and acknowledge the truth of what's going on, that is where unity starts at.
That's right.
That's where unity starts at. And unity is not ignoring my blackness.
Correct.
Unity is not ignoring the issues that we have to fight. That is whack and that's demonic. That's not kingdom.
Correct.
Unity is saying we're going to come together, acknowledge together that these are issues, that we stand together against these things.
Say it. Powerful.
So that's what's happening tomorrow. We unifying, declaring these things together.
It's great. I love it, my man. Love it, love it, love it. This is great. We're just getting started. Right about now in our regular Friday conversations, this is where things will start getting good. Right about going into hour number 3, right? So well done. This is good, bro. I love you. And our families, it's like, I told you, you'll be doing my funeral like 40 years from now, right? And we have a lifetime ahead of us, and we're going to fight the good fight. We're in it together. Your fight is my fight. Your pain is my pain. Your victories are my victories, and we're in it together as a church family. And thank you for your patience with some of us naive knuckleheads, starting with this guy right here, as we navigate through new seasons. What's up, Jax? As we navigate through these bumpy waters, we're in it together for sure. I love you, man, and I love that God's raised you up to be a voice. And you are. We're moving forward with purpose, and we're not turning back. So thank you for being courageous through all this.
Amen. I love you, man. I love our church. I know it's going to cut off soon, man. I love our church family. So diverse in all different ways, and we're better together, man. We know that. And so these are hard conversations. It's not easy. It's painful. It's very painful. But we're gonna do this together, man. We're gonna heal together. And God is gonna bring healing to this land. I believe that. I believe God's gonna bring healing to the city. God's gonna bring healing to our church. I can't speak for any other church. I can speak for City Life Church as a pastor. God is gonna bring healing to our land and to our people, the people that we have the privilege and the honor to help lead. God's gonna give us the way forward with a contrite heart.
That's right.
Lord, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
That's right. That's right.
Because what we see in Scripture is that God definitely sees color, and He sees race. We see in Revelations that there are going to be a multitude of ethnicities and cultures. So it's important to God. It's important to us.
That's right. Absolutely.
We're not ignoring any race, any culture. And we understand if one is hurting, then we're all hurting. And so we're going to fight for equity and justice for all. If we do it for if we do it for our Black brothers and sisters, it's going to trickle down. It's going to roll down to everybody.
That's right. Let's go.
We know that.
That's right.
So, again, shout out to our church family. God is good. You know what I mean? God is good all the time. We are really in this together. We love you guys. Hit me up directly. Shout out for all those that were listening and really want to be a part of the solution. You know what I'm saying? I love you, JonJon, as my pastor. I appreciate you as my mentor. I wouldn't be where I'm at today without you, straight up. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Love you, man. It's going to cut out. I love you.